Welcome to Realtor Gary Kelly's podcast on all things real estate.
Hi, this is Gary Kelly. Here we are at Java in Northborough talking with Brad Avergon from Envision Bank about downsizing. It's one of the transitions in life. You get to a certain point, you're bouncing around the house and you say, maybe it's time for us to go down. A lot of times people say, I'm just going to sell my house and I'm going to move into something else and I'm going to end up with $1 million.
Yep.
And increasingly we're finding that not to be the case.
That's correct.
Someone might have a $600,000 house and they're finding the condos can be $400,000 or $500,000 in some cases, and they're stunned. And so they're in a situation of, guess what, needing a mortgage. You want to walk us through some of that?
Sure. So, as you said, when people are looking at downsizing, there's a period where people think they're going to walk out with cash. Sometimes they think they're going to purchase a home for cash and not have a mortgage, and I can certainly understand that. But the reality is that if you're downsizing, maybe because you're moving to a smaller home, it may not necessarily be in the shape that you want it to be in, and therefore you've got to kind of put your personal touches on that. Well, that can often use up a lot of that capital. Or if you're moving to a condominium, let's say you're moving from the boroughs here in our area towards Boston. You may be moving to a smaller space, but oftentimes that smaller space may be a lot more expensive than it might be out in this area, so you need up a lot of that cash. So that comes to getting a mortgage. And typically when someone's downsizing, what I try to do is set up a mortgage payment that they're really going to be comfortable with, maybe long term. A lot of times, folks that may be downsizing, they may say, wow, I was so close to getting my mortgage paid off. Maybe should I just do a 10-year or 15-year? I tend to look at the whole thing from a different point of view. I'm trying to get that payment as low as possible, maybe even look at a 30-year mortgage, because it's going to be a payment that at some point you may approach retirement and you want to be comfortable making that monthly payment on a regular basis. So rather than try to shrink it to a smaller amortization, let's stretch it out and make the payment smaller.
See, one of the things I say to people, and I am not a mortgage guy, but as I'm having a conversation with someone at a coffee shop, whatever, it's like, if you go with a 30-year note, as an example, you can always make extra payments, okay? But if you have a 10-year note, that whole thing of pushing a payment out or whatever, you get in trouble. You can go the opposite way.
Absolutely.
And that's a personal thing. Financial people with lots of financial initials after their name are far more capable of analyzing that than I. But I always say, what's the most conservative approach that people can take so that they don't get clipped?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that as you reach retirement years and you start living off your Social Security and your earned income starts dropping, is that your ability to go out and get a mortgage is compromised. Your ability to go out and get financing is compromised. So it becomes all about liquidity. It becomes all about having that cash in the bank afterwards that you can draw from in addition to the Social Security and retirement income that you might be getting, and finding that nice balance between the two. And that's where that planning part comes in. Planning for the fact that your earned income is going to be dropping before it actually happens.
Okay, cool. So you've downsized.
Yes.
Okay. I've downsized. Mm-hmm. What's the one thing you would say to people as they contemplate downsizing? One thing.
One thing is, I would say, don't plan. If you can avoid living in the property while you're renovating it, the new property, I would encourage you to do that. I recently renovated a property, and what was supposed to be a 3-month renovation turned out to be a 9-month renovation, and it was challenging at times to live.
Yeah, my recommendation would be get rid of all the stuff in your existing home. Don't move it, because it's not going to fit, and you still have to get rid of it. So,
I wish I'd listened to you beforehand.
Well, Well, Brad, thanks for coming out and spending some time with us today at Java and talking about downsizing.
Thanks, Gary.